So if you have poor attendance on your campus, whether that's students or staff members, the problem is probably with you and the culture. Because if you think about it, if a culture is thriving, if people are excited about the do school different vision that you have for your campus, if they feel like they belong and that they're safe, then why wouldn't they show up? And so today's conversation, we have somebody joining Mitch and me on the show. It's our good friend, Joe Clausi. He also does some work at the Traveling Principal. So check out his podcast and Substack for sure. And Joe comes with some stories, scars, and strategy. He wrote in to hello@adorableredhats.com and pitched himself, and he's our first guest, which is super fun. And so he talks about moving from East Coast, New York City, to West Coast in Southern California, or Southern California. Anyway, and he did some really remarkable stuff at a charter school, but also has some stories about, working in New York City and some things that you just probably can't believe, but they're true. So we're here to talk about that, talk about culture, talk about do school different. We get into California, best Californian beer and other fun stuff as well. So stick along, for the ride. Hey, thank you so much for making this show so successful. This Better Leaders, Better Schools podcast would not be where it's at without you, the ruckus maker who listens. And from the bottom of my heart, I just want to express tons of gratitude for what you do. So if this is your first time listening, Better Leaders, Better Schools is the original ruckus cast for innovative school leaders who want to do school different. That means reimagining the education experience, even within traditional settings, so that we create campus experiences worth showing up for. So we'll get in some messages from our show sponsors here, and when we come back, we will have the main content. Bye for now, and go make a ruckus. Still scrambling for supplies like it's 1999? ODP Business Solutions streamlines everything from pencils to projectors so you can focus on what matters, making an impact. Visit odpbusiness.com/education to learn more. That's odpbusiness.com/education. Most principals are isolated. You won't be. The Ruckus Maker Mastermind connects you with weekly coaching and mentorship, support, and a system to create a campus experience worth showing up for. Apply now and join school leaders from around the world who are on their do school different journey and get a notice for it. Go to betterleadersbetterschools.com/apply. The application takes about 3 minutes, and we'll follow up to make sure it's a perfect fit opportunity for you. That's betterleadersbetterschools.com/apply. IXL is a go-to support for classroom teachers because its adaptive platform makes differentiated instruction easy. See for yourself and get started today at ixl.com/leaders. That's ixl.com/leaders. We might talk about sandwiches, Joe. We might talk about sandwiches.
My goodness. I love a good sandwich.
I just had a sandwich, actually.
Really? What kind of
Vegan
sandwich?
banh mi. Vegan banh mi. It's
yeah,
good.
Right on. Spicy? Was it spicy? It's Vietnamese, right?
Yep.
Sweet.
Instead of pork, it's Joe. You'd love it. It's good. The little sandwich shop downstairs from my office.
Oh, that's trouble.
I either have that or the Happy Hippie, also vegetarian, vegan.
Yeah.
I'm not even vegetarian or vegan, but they're just really good.
Jeez.
You live in California. I believe,
It's kind of what we
was
have
it
to do.
Schwarzenegger put in the law, you have to eat one meatless meal, right, per day if you live in California. Is that correct?
Yes,
I mean, I don't know what
true.
the law is now.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it changes. Joe, have you had any sandwiches recently you want to bring to the conversation?
Well, I've recently had a really good fish sandwich not long ago.
Oh,
It was
yeah?
wonderful.
So no longer vegan.
Negative. That's where I was going with that one.
All right.
Subtle announcement. I got my 5-year badge.
Nice.
Stepped out.
Okay.
Cool.
So Italian sausage is back. Fish sandwich. Maybe not.
No dairy.
No dairy.
Mm-mm. and no red meat really.
Yeah.
Although if it's done well,
Right.
On
You might
occasion.
dabble. You might dabble.
If you're seeing family
Correct.
in New York, you
Correct.
gotta, you know.
Yeah.
right?
Make
The
this stand
situation
out.
presents itself. I think that's what really killed me about the vegan diet. Like America just isn't ready for it. And so trying to do something when you're out there in the world, when the world is resistant to it, in lack of any other way of saying it, right? Everybody is
Yeah.
resistant to it. It's just a layer of challenge that makes it impossible depending on where you are and when you travel a lot. It's tough.
Right. Right.
Right on.
That's
Well,
true.
I like a good tuna melt. So I had that. My wife had whipped up some nice tuna, and then my sister actually made sourdough from a starter. And
There you
so
go.
That
That's the
sounds
best
pretty
way
Yeah.
to do it, Danny.
it is. It is.
Yeah.
So I had that today for lunch. And is there anything off limits of what you two would do for a good sandwich?
Yeah, I think so. Plenty of
I mean,
things.
Okay.
full transparency, man. I'm trying not even to eat bread anymore. So
Right on. Okay. So there you go, right? If it comes
Well,
with bread,
that
that's
makes
off.
sandwiches
That's off.
a little tricky.
A little
Mhm.
tricky. You could do lettuce wraps.
Is that
I
a
guess.
gluten thing? Is that a
It
gluten?
is.
All right.
which I think happened based on the vegan
Yeah.
diet.
Right on.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
You were eating more gluten when you were vegan?
A ton. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
that's all we did.
Well,
eat.
before we lose everybody, welcome to the show. What started as a recurring theme to have Mitch on the show, and my goal is to make him uncomfortable multiple times throughout the
Mhm.
next 45 minutes, and then record that, right? And we can get the live look on video and audio. Hopefully, people can hear how uncomfortable Mitch gets. But Joe's
And now
now
we
on the show too.
we invited
So
you.
yeah. Well, and here's the thing though. Joe was the first one to write in, right? So I think it might have been the second episode, Mitch, where
That's right.
we got the website up, adorableredhats.com. You can check it out. Go to the website,
up?
see how amazing it is. Do you remember, Joe? Did you visit the website or did you just send an email?
I did. No, I visited the website. You had sent us a link, and I went through the website. I read down on the bottom, and then it was something about follow this, write this email, respond to this, and we can go from there. And so I did. However,
You
it didn't work.
know what you're getting into.
It did.
No, it didn't work. Remember?
No.
And I was like, "Hey, you guys, it didn't work. Look it."
Yeah,
Boom.
we'll come
We were
back to
troubleshooting.
that. I think you were smoking some gluten or something at the time. But tell me about like the Adorable Red Hats website. Like
That's the best picture right there.
this one right here. Yeah, that's after we visited the brewery. But there you are, Joe. You made it
Yes.
in, right? You remember this day? That was fun.
That's
So
good that he's our first guest. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Joe wrote in. I'm gonna put the email here, but actually you guys can't see it. I'll just read it to you. Dear Danny and Mitch, listen how formal. This is really elegantly done. Dear
I took some time.
Danny
I took some
and
time.
Mitch. Yeah, with ChatGPT. Longtime listener, lifetime fan, also owner of one very important red hat. I'd like to humbly request, listen to the words, humbly request to be on your show to explain how I earned the sacred scarlet headgear that you're sporting now. You're looking
Wow, that is
good.
a
You're looking
well-written email.
We're only a couple lines in. Let me continue,
Oh, it
please.
gets way better.
You see, I led a school that was basically one more fire drill away from becoming a spirit Halloween store.
True
and
story.
turned it into California's first standalone IB career program.
Yep.
This wasn't just educational reform. This was education rebellion. And the red hat, that's my battle crown, boys. See, the system needed a mold breaker, a ruckus maker, a slightly over-caffeinated Bronx-built West Coast refined disruptor who asks, what if we did school, but made it actually work for the kids? From NYC's toughest classrooms to reinventing public education in California, I've got stories, scars, and strategies, and I'd love to share them with you both. So let's talk about the hustle, the heartbreak, the hat, and why education needs more people who aren't afraid to stir the pot with purpose. Red Hats Unite, Joe. So Joe was, the first one to write in. And just for the people listening, this is not BS. Hello at adorableredhats.com and pitch us like, why do you want to join this show? Are there some education trends you want to discuss, which we're about to get into here? Or if you want to come on the show and just tell Mitch and I, and maybe even Joe, he might be back, I have a feeling. If you want to tell all three of us, or at least two of us, we kind of like Joe, sometimes we don't. If you want to tell us how
Ebbs and
adorable,
flows.
how
Ebbs and
adorable,
flows.
it depends on how he's showing up,
You
honestly.
can only like a guy so much that lives 2 houses from the ocean.
Well,
you know.
I found
Every
like
once in a while, you're just like, you know what? Screw that guy.
yeah.
Don't call
That's a
me
nice
from
way
the
of
beach
saying it. That's
again
not
while
how I
you're
say
walking.
it. Yeah, I hate that dude. It's pretty much like we have a text chain about that, Joe, that you're not a part of actually.
TP his
And
house.
yeah, he's just kind of a not somebody you like that much, but he's kind of cool. So,
Doable.
oh, is that why you took the red hat off? Okay, all right.
No,
all
I'm
right.
fixing it so
Okay, good.
it fits.
So so that's what we're doing, and we're going to be talking trends. I prepared some stuff, but I noticed in your very classy, very well done email, and again, hello at adorableredhats.com, and you could be on the show with us. The reason why you didn't make it to the inbox first is because Adorable Red Hats was spelled wrong,
That's right.
and it was my fault. I could have easily said it was your fault, but I did give you the link, and my thumbs
You
were
spelled
being-
it wrong, Danny, when we sent it out like, hey. Okay.
When I text, man, my thumbs fly, and sometimes I make spelling mistakes, and it's I don't know, it's crazy out
I'm
there.
glad it found its way to the inbox.
Yeah. So before we're gonna get to trends for sure, we got some real doozies, but Joe, you talked about stories, scars, and strategies. Pick from there which one you want to lean into. You want to go to a story, you want to go to a scar, or a strategy?
That's a great question. I love a good story.
Okay,
Love a good story.
I hope you
I
prepared
do
one.
Well, you're
think-
on the right call because we have
Yeah.
a storyteller in our midst, like a professional
A
storyteller.
professional, right? So I'm a little nervous. But that
Look
said,
at this. I'm wearing my
Oh my
official
gosh.
Mark Twain,
Twain
hat. I
Just
got it
stress
at Mark
me out.
Twain's house.
so when I did come to California,
Yeah.
I did inherit a school that
You
was
did.
closing. And I did not know it had like a
That it
little
was
bit of time
closing?
before people were going to start pushing it out. It was almost like a last ditch effort. Let's see where we go from here. I walked into a staff that was unionizing in a charter organization. Very rare. The only charter high school still to this day in the county. So
Really?
yeah.
Huh.
Mhm. Which,
Interesting.
you have no friends. You pay for your friends ultimately at that point.
With sandwiches, or how do you pay?
Cash, dude.
Cash
People
money.
only like cash money. Yeah. Oh my gosh, the public side of education, right? But that said, we just had I think we were ranked 3rd in the county in our academic results. We had kids that were from the surrounding schools that were expelled or suspended. They had attendance issues. They had issues with other kids. So there were safety transfers. They were treating it like an alternative site because it was career and technical education.
Yeah.
And usually career and tech ed is not fully understood, therefore not looked at in the same light as your standard traditional public school setting. It's in a different location. You got to take a short bus traditionally to get there. You got to go after school or before school. It's a weird setup. They set it up as alternative and treat it that way. And so I came out here because I saw that as like an advantage. In New York City, when I was at a culinary high school, it's a public culinary high school, you just had to apply to get in. You got it in through the lottery. I think there was like 3,000 applications every year for 100 spots. So it was bananas, the amount of kids that would apply. But it was the only public culinary high school in New York, which makes you think, like, why don't they just open a couple more? But that said, I did see these kids who would show up with their, flag and their colors, and they would, the first day I remember like kind of standing on the side. I watched these kids come up to the building, take their paraphernalia or whatever they had on them out of their pockets, store it somewhere in the scaffolding, neighboring buildings, come into the school, put on their chef whites. You never knew who those kids were or where they were from. Nobody cared. They went to school, right? And so that's when I realized, like, okay, there's a successful aspect of the recipe of education there that needs to be considered. And so when I took the school in California, it was a construction school. My dad was a plumber, so I grew up in that trade, and I did love to eat, but I wasn't culinary trained. At least I had this background in plumbing. And so I took that school, saw it as an advantage. With a charter, I figured there weren't any, red tape. And so I just plowed through until the staff and I figured out how to go from the third lowest to eventually the second highest. Took us I think 3 years to do so. The school is still the only standalone international baccalaureate programs in construction, architecture, engineering, and in computer science. And so it took a team to get us there. But the real story is, I relocated my whole family. My wife and I sold our apartment on the west in New York on the west side and came out here to California and
found out the school might be closing.
I mean, I in my mind, I'm like, okay, I got 12 months.
Yeah, you got to make it.
And that's how I kind of operated until I realized, all right, I got a little bit more time. We had a union contract that was multi-year, and I'm like, all right, we're sitting pretty now. I don't really have to be concerned with the day-to-day.
Was there, that multi-year process of going from the bottom to the top? What was it about your leadership and your campus that allowed you to turn it around like that?
It's a good question, Danny, because I inherited a staff of teachers, the core of whom believed in the school and what it was. And so once we recognized like minds, we attracted. And this core foundation turned into, from my side, I'm thinking, well, if I can train these guys and work with these guys and push these guys, let's see how far they can go. And from their side, they were thinking, we're going to push this guy and see how far he can take us. And so it turned into well, none of us were satisfied with the status quo. None of us liked the statistics that we had, but everybody had the energy and the ability to do something about it. And so it was really well, let's take a look at what we're doing. This doesn't work. What else could we do? And it wasn't this is what we're doing here. Let's do this moving forward. It's this is what I've seen. What do you guys think of this? They would throw in their 2 cents, and all of a sudden we had our own variation of some sort of a solution to an existing issue. Together, we came up with that. Together, we rolled it out. And that's kind of how we rolled. And so I think it was that, getting these guys to understand that, as a team, we're going to get through whatever it is, and having them buy into that. And once they did, we were unstoppable for a long time. It was cool. Mm-hmm. Definitely cool. Different.
Created a cool culture. I've spent some time on that school campus, and it's one of those places you walk on, you can just kind of feel it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very, very, very
it's alive.
Interesting.
For sure.
Telling stories. I'm starting a project with a charter school in New York City, and they asked, is there anybody, similar to us? They're not CTE, but they're charter. Middle school and high school is where we're starting. And we had our kickoff training yesterday, but I introduced them to the now principal of this former school that you turned around, and it was really cool for them to connect and hear about what's going on out there. So
yeah, John's still doing it,
taking it all the way back to New York, just for you.
I love it.
What I was blown away on campus was just how much the students actually created, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if there's anything you can obviously speak to that a lot better than I can, Joe. But there was certainly parts that were already established, but then the campus, there's a lot more that came from students building it. So can you fill in some links there?
Yeah, man. I mean, I would joke about it, but it turned into a bit of a sweatshop, because I would say to the
including
kids,
your former dining room table, speaking of stories.
It was awesome, dude. Everything. The staff, I would always be like, what do you guys need? We need more ideas for lessons in construction. And so
I've got a lot of, do you do stuff in New York?
That's what the staff were like, well, and so what we were doing was I would remember saying oh my gosh, here's a crazy one, Danny.
Yeah.
So when there was an unfortunate school shooting that wasn't very far from our campus, and wasn't very far means within 20 miles, which is gnarly to think, right? Just bananas. Oh, it wasn't a school. It was a bar, right? At the same
They were
time,
out
there
of Pliny,
was
or what was the deal?
no.
Okay, we'll talk
Oh
about
my
that
God.
They
later.
serve
man.
Pliny at that
Yeah, I don't
joint.
even, I
That's
can't even
handy.
remember why it ended up happening, right? Like, but it was there was a total shooting there. In
Well, it feels
addition,
good. Maybe we should go on a tangent real quick, and then we'll come back to your story, Joe. So I'm just
Yeah.
feeling it. But California beers, we're bringing in Pliny the Elder, right? Pliny the Younger is even more difficult to get. Favorite California beers, guys? Is that number one? It's at the top of the list.
absolutely.
I think that's probably not to say
Yeah.
there's not just a ridiculous wealth of really, really good, but like consistent that long, if you're an IPA person.
So Russian
I was hanging out
River.
with a buddy the other
yeah.
night, and I went and I said, hey, can I have a West Coast? And he's like, well, I'm like, well, yeah, I'll go with Pliny. They always have Pliny, because back in the day, you couldn't get it. Like
Couldn't
kegs
get
that, and the guy's like, hey, we're not advertising this, but we have a keg of Pliny the Younger. And I was
No
like,
way.
really? He's like, yeah. But you can only it's like a little 8-ounce pour, and you got a stamp so that you don't just keep going back. And I look around, and like half the people in the joint have these little glasses. Anyway, sorry, I digress. Yeah, I think Pliny's probably the but what's the one over in Vermont that you two have both had that I've yet to have?
Heady
Mad
Topper.
Hatter, or what's it called?
Heady Topper from the Alchemist. So Russian River is a brewery for Pliny, for all our ruckus makers that enjoy an IPA. And then on the East Coast, this is basically Biggie versus Tupac, right? Like East Coast is there. Wow,
There
there you go.
Wow.
Heady Topper from the Alchemist, which is really pretty great. They had it on
Kind of
tap.
like the
at
mayo.
my
It's like mayo. What do you call mayo? What's the brand in
Mayo?
the East Coast?
Hellman's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's it out here?
Oh yeah,
It's the same thing.
If
It
you
is the
know
same
if
thing.
you know the
West
kind of mayonnaise
Coast
served in
mayo.
California, write into hello@adorableredhats.com, and you could come on the show.
Best foods. It's best foods
that's
out
right.
here.
That's right. Best foods.
Now, all right. So,
So it's not
scratch that.
Biggie and Tupac's. It's Hellman's versus Best Foods.
There we go.
Okay, and don't write in with your mayo.
We
I guess you
figured
can.
it out.
Yeah, we already figured it out.
out.
We don't need you. You don't need to come on.
But what is the difference between the younger and the elder?
Besides age.
The Younger's a triple, I think, instead of an imperial. But
Oh.
surprisingly, drinks
So
just like a Pliny.
like a
you can get
triple, like a
yourself in
Belgian
trouble.
triple.
Yeah, and I mean, let's just see. I think it's like a triple IPA.
Okay,
Huh.
great.
What is
Joe, when Mitch is looking that up, when you moved from New York to California, what was the thing you were surprised the most, pleasantly surprised the most with California?
I think it was the people. New York is cutthroat, man. And we kind of wanted, my wife and I wanted like nice. We wanted
Friends?
nicer,
You wanted friends?
We still have all our friends in New York, but for the kids and in the neighborhood and stuff like that. Like we lived in apartment buildings for years, and didn't know people on our floor.
Yeah.
Like it just wasn't a thing.
Right,
We wanted
right.
Halloween. We wanted to see what trick or treating
Yeah.
was like. Like I remember going grocery shopping and even having a place to park my car.
Yeah.
And I went to the store, bought a bunch of food. I came back. I was there and back in like 30 minutes. And Amy was like, "Did you go?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got everything. We have a spot below. You just come right up." She was like, "I gotta try that." You have to
this
put
is
your
when you
stuff-
guys first moved, right? And you were in
Yeah.
that apartment.
We used to
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
hail a cab, put your stuff in the back of
Oh,
a
dude.
taxi.
Yeah.
That was for us. It's not as bad in San Francisco, but that was when we moved to Sacramento. It was like I can just people smile at you when you
Yeah,
walk into the
it's
coffee
nice.
shop. There's a place
Yeah. Imagine
I
that.
like it.
I feel like when somebody says,
imagine,
"How you doing?" they want to know.
yeah.
imagine being on a trail, just hiking
Mhm.
and saying hi to people, and they don't even respond back. Right?
Yeah. We
What
told
kind-
that story. Speaking
What's
of
going on
stories.
with that dude is what I want to know.
I mean, not even
And-
look it up though. It's like not a thing.
Yeah.
I would usually just keep my head down, looking for dog crap or something. I don't want to step
Right.
in.
You don't want to step
when you're in the
that.
city? It's an expectation. Like you would have to be like hi. It's just like
a lot of
pretty
people.
soon you're just like, it's not rude. I'm just not gonna look at you. I don't really care.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true.
And there's something fun about that. Like someone could walk by me in San Francisco completely naked, and I wouldn't even
Look
You
up.
wouldn't even have like thought twice about it. Like,
He
oh,
might have been
guys
the governor,
guess
right?
Doesn't
Like,
want to
you
wear
don't
clothes
even know.
today. Like,
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm going to do whatever I do. So
he's trying.
Mitch, so you born and raised. I think you've been in California your whole life, right? Do I
I'm a
have?
California boy.
Okay. So what's your number one California pet peeve? And then we're gonna go back to Joe's story that I so rudely interrupted.
Joe, I hope you can remember where you thought California pet peeve.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of people here. That's probably my biggest pet peeve. It's just there's a lot of people in this state. Like it seems anymore. And Joe and I live on kind of opposite ends. He's more central southern. I'm Northern California, and it doesn't really matter anymore. Like check the traffic app every time I go anywhere because there's going to be something happening.
brewing.
So can't
Maybe
blame
if-
everybody. It's a great place to live. So I'm not going anywhere, but there's just a lot of people here.
I was gonna say if you increase the cost of living and add some taxes, maybe you could drive some people out.
Right. That just doesn't seem to be working. We keep trying, but
Keep trying. All right, Joe. Do you want to pick up your story? Do you know where you left
Sure.
off?
Yeah,
Okay,
I will say,
nice.
just to add to Mitch's point, when we first came out here in 2012, 13, people did not use an area code when you asked for a phone number. They just gave you the last 7 digits. Like,
Really?
as in everything is 805.
Oh,
And
wow.
so I remember being like 917, and they were like, oh, okay, yeah. And I would get 975. And they were like, what's the fourth number? I'm like, no, the area code is, and they're like, oh, huh. You know, now
outsider.
everything has the area code attached. There are multiple around here to boot. So,
but that was very much that town at that time. I bet if you had just were 45 minutes in southeast of you, I bet that would have been different, right?
I don't know,
Like
man.
people up where you live is like, why would you ever go anywhere? I'm gonna,
Yeah,
you know.
I certainly wouldn't cross the grade if I didn't have to. But yeah, I mean, when there was that unfortunate incident near our school, there was also it corresponded
What about
with
time?
another one in Florida, and it was a high school,
Ooh,
and so
ooh.
it hit us like really close. Like I know the teachers felt
Yeah.
it; I could see it.
Yeah.
It was bizarre. I'd gone into school. One of the teachers expressed concern for their safety, and so I literally was sitting in the doorway of the main building, all tough, but freezing. And so it was super cold. The wind would come through. There was like, the doors always had to remain open. The only position I could put my desk in, so it wasn't, and I was sitting in like a pork chop desk. I was just like right in the doorway. And so the construction teacher had come out and he was like, I can't take this anymore. And he turned around and he went and he got the architecture teacher and the engineering teacher. And they came back with a bunch of kids. And they were like, make this man an office. Put it somewhere in this little area. And so the engineering kids kind of just started doing their thing, you know. But the architecture students came over and they sat with me and were like, we're going to make it in the design of a New York City subway. We're going to tag graffiti all over the place. We're going to put, the interior had like a Murphy bed style desk so it could go up. It saved me space. It was real minimal in size. And the engineering kids had to figure out things like running the electricity, the circulation in a small, tight space. But, we created these like slider windows. It was phenomenal. I could see out of them. You couldn't see through them. Like the kids thought of everything, and it was class. It was what school was. And so every day these kids were just grinding, and it utilized math. It utilized all aspects of the construction pathways that we had, all the architecture, all the engineering. It was phenomenal, man. It was really something. And then within no time, I had this amazing office that was built in there, adding all this amazing capital to a building when the people we rented from in the district didn't give us anything. We had to go through their maintenance program. So we were doing things officially. They would come through and even go through the inspection process and, rate the kids. We called that the grades that they got. It was just unique, man. It was, we saw problems or things we needed on campus, and the kids built it. They built an amphitheater. They built stage for graduation. They built, you name it. The things that they have back there are bananas. So even like physical space, we added on classrooms, built a giant maker space, like cool stuff, man.
Those shipping containers that are like holding all the shot, like wood shop.
Yep.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I think
it's
I saw
fun.
that office too when I was on campus.
Yeah,
I'm
definitely.
pretty sure.
I always showed it off because it was like brilliant, man. What they
Yeah.
did there, it was like it made me feel like I could, not to say this in a lack of any other way, but I came there when they were in this crazy situation. And after sitting in there, realizing like these guys can come up with solutions now. They don't really need me here anymore. And so it was almost like, all right, I'm good to go.
Time
Yeah,
to
you
move
did it.
on.
You
Came here
did. You
and
did your
did what
work.
they
You
needed.
had your impact. I'm glad you shared that story, Joe, because I mean, it really paints a picture. As long as we didn't lose people on our Pliny the Elder or sandwich tangents, if they have stuck around with us, I mean, it shows like when you make education real, right, and you're solving real interesting problems.
Yeah.
How kids step up, right, and find it a ton of fun. And I'm guessing they were, I don't, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm guessing those students and probably the teacher too, like really experiencing flow and not as much like discipline or attendance because they're doing cool stuff every day they're looking forward to, right?
Yeah, dude. The attendance was never an issue
For
there.
sure.
Mm,
Never an issue. But even in the
awesome.
culinary school, like this, it was that career in tech ed vibe. And, if you were to ask me, Danny, what is one thing about coming out to California that I don't like most, that I did love about New York? And I do feel like I can change it still. I do feel like I'm at the helm of this. Culinary arts and food in this area is not yet anywhere near where it should be. And so, although there are some that are really trying, whether it be the service aspect or just the menus or the food to taste, et cetera, if you created a culinary arts high school like I had back in New York, and the
Mhm.
program was such to where the kids fused into in this internship type way into the different restaurants, et cetera, and then they eventually grew from there. I mean, you'd create the community we seek just by the changing the education at a high school. So I don't know, man, if that is
And with
something
all
I'm
the
still kind of hanging on to.
with all the ag so local to
Mhm.
your town,
Think
and
about it.
school, it's weird that it's not more of a culinary
Mm.
hub.
I know.
That's what
Oh.
Sacramento kind of rebranded itself farm to fork because it's the same. That means it's a much bigger city than yours, but you go far enough and you're in ag land in any direction.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so you can go to all these really cool places, restaurants, wineries, everything. They source like they tell you not like down to like the farm and the part of the farm where they're sourcing this thing. And it's a cool vibe for sure.
Yeah.
That's
But
interesting. All right.
I can tell you how I earned the hat.
Oh, the red hat. All right.
I
Let
can.
us know.
I do think that
I don't-
there's, you have to apply for the hat, and then the panel determines whether or not.
Well, now it's much harder because we have this wildly popular show.
See, you
Yeah.
guys are
So-
changing requisites.
We have a
Okay.
website.
Yeah, you got
I
in while you
grandfathered
could. That
in.
was smart.
I love it.
Yep.
I love it.
You got in when it was easier. Yeah.
It's like buying a home in California 30 years ago. You got in, you're never leaving.
You're in.
Never.
You're never moving.
Well, I do remember there was a specific class that I had in the Bronx in New York, and it was an English class of repeaters, and it was in my first year. And there was a kid in this class who did not attend other school besides
Other
my
classes.
class. Right. Like he refused to come in at all.
Hmm.
And I mean, this is, I'm going back 25 years, so I could totally say it all now. But I was on the first floor. I had a first floor classroom building of four floors, including and then a basement, so really 5. And there was about 3,000 to 5,000 kids in there, depending on so much, on the day.
Yeah.
We had a football field that was 80 yards. Like it was so ghetto, man.
You got to start somewhere.
I'm saying, right?
That is
It was
hysterical.
so good. It was so good. But that said, I was teaching this repeater class, and right away I had a pretty good rapport with these kids because at that time I was like 22, 23 years old. And these kids were all like 18, 19 years old. So we were getting down. Like I'd listen to the same things they listened to. We watched the same things. Like I was kind of into it. And these kids were vibing off of what I was able to give to them. And we were learning in that class, especially when I was like, I don't believe you kids can read or write. And they were at first like, what? I'm like, no, seriously, write me anything. Just write something down. You can write whatever it is. I'll even read it. Maybe for extra credit, you come up here and you read it. You know, like that's how I was getting with them. And they loved it because they would say the craziest things. We let it all fly. But we were establishing this relationship. Fast forward, the reason why I got the red hat, I ended up having this guy come into class, and every day he would wait. And it was the only course I taught in that classroom. And I've marinated to 4 other rooms, right? So people always complain about the rooms that they don't have or the location or whatever. We had 5 different rooms rolling around in the same day. Like you were pushing your stuff on carts. It was bananas. And so I would leave that room. I'd be like, all right, guys, who's the bell? I would like almost watch the kids go out and just go. Most times I would just go with them. The teacher was waiting for me to get out, you know, so he can come back in, bring his class in. It was chaos. That kid would wait for me to go and head out the window. And I never really realized it until the one day I went out and I forgot something. I came in and I see him going out the window, and I go over the window. I'm like, what are you doing? And he was like, oh, Mr. C, I'll see you tomorrow, man. And he just kept going. And that's when I realized, like, don't ask any questions, you know? So I didn't. And I just realized since he was coming in, you know, I had to do something to keep him coming back. And then the kids were always saying, like, this is the only class he goes to. We can't even believe he's here, right? I was reading with them Requiem for a Dream. You remember that? Have you ever seen it? Right? Like crazy. But the book has no paragraphs. It's all one paragraph from like
Just like stream of
200
conscious?
pages of
gosh.
just one paragraph. So it's bananas to read. But for a kid, you can be like, yo, man, we could fix this. Why is it written like this? This is ridiculous. Let's put it into paragraphs. Let's make this the way it should be. And so as we were reading it a little at a time, we were breaking it down grammatically, but then I would allow them to watch it. And of course, this is not a good movie to watch.
No.
And so I had to screen so much of it prior to. But the one day the kids took the remote control and they pulled the batteries out and flipped them upside down, put them back in. And so when I put the movie on, like it was in a real terrible spot, and I realized it. And I went up to the front and I had to like, man, it was like a Zenith TV where you push the button and turn it off.
Yeah, it wheeled around on a cart.
Wheeled
right?
around on a cart.
Yep.
And so I turned it
I
off.
just
manually went up.
unplugged that bad boy.
Danny, I was free. It was like Control Alt Delete. I went up and I turned it off and I turned around and the kids are like, you cannot turn that off right now. And I'm like, okay, look, first of all, fix the remote control because it was working before this started. I know one of you kids said something to it. And second of all, I cannot play this for you, but I'll tell you what, if you can tell me what you think is going to happen and it does, we'll watch it, but you gotta be accurate. And they were like, oh, I already seen it. And I'm like, okay, then this guy, right? I don't want to call his name out. You got to tell me. And so he came to the front of the room, which I
Is this
didn't
the guy
ask him to do.
who snuck
kid
out
who-
the window? This guy.
My class every day.
He only comes to
right?
your class. That's the guy you call him. All right.
Came up to the front and gave an amazing outcome, albeit totally wrong, but plausible in a way that expressed comprehension. And I was floored. And the kids in the back were like, yo, man, you didn't read it. And he was like, is that not what happens? Mr. C, come on. You got to let me watch it now. I don't even have a TV. Come on, man. Give me it. And so I'm like, all right, here's what I'm going to do. I got to run down, make some copies. You know,
I'm going to
if
leave
somebody
all of you
comes
here
by,
unattended.
you guys are on
With-
your own. I said no. Put the control. And the kid went
I
up and he was
said
like,
no, and then I left you
before
for
I could
45
walk
minutes
out,
by
bitch,
yourself.
right? Before I could walk out
I don't
the
think
door.
the movie is the issue anymore.
The kid's like, yo, I flipped the battery, son. You know, and he takes the thing out. The kids start dying. I came back in the room. I'm like, I knew it. I knew somebody was going to be able to fix the remote control. You think I'm going to let you watch it now? Get that, you know. And then the kids were dying laughing. Long story short, I had that kid, in a way, understand something, right? I let them watch it for a little bit. We turned it off. We talked about it. We laughed more than anything. The bell rang and the kid came up to me and he was like, Mr. Clausi, I can't go in the halls. I'm like, all right, why not? And he's like, well, I got in a lot of trouble not long ago. And then some of the kids in the class were concerned because then I just stopped going altogether because I don't want to deal with the consequence. And I don't really know what's going to come out of it. It's definitely not over. But I can come into your class and you let me go out the window and don't say anything, right? And I was like, are you going home? And he was like, yeah, I am. And I'm like, well, I'm taking your attendance that you're here. I have to. Like, legally, this is a legal document. And so they were called Delaney cards. Like, I have to be accurate here. And he's like, I don't care. Nobody's ever taught me how to read or write. And that's the first time in my high school career I've come to the front of the class to speak.
Dang.
I was like, my man, get ready, because it's only October. And he was like, all right. And for the rest of the year, that's how we roll with this kid. I got him through it, came in the window. No one said a word. And he came in just for my class every day until the last month. And I got audited for my attendance. And they were like, your attendance is showing that a certain kid is coming into your class every day. And it's the only class that he comes to. So you have to go back and fix it and reverse all of them. And I was like, he's showing up. He comes into my class every day. And they were like, okay, well, we're looking for him. So when he comes tomorrow, we're going to come by and pick him up. And so when he came in the morning, and before he came in, I was like, listen, you guys got to let him know that this is what I heard. And so if today's his last day, but they're on to him because of the way I took attendance. And so when he comes in, I'm just going to step out and let him know it's good. If he wants to stay, he can stay, but I'm just going to take a look. I'm pretty sure they're going to sweep through. And so I went out, came back in, and he was sitting there, and he was like, I mean, you didn't rat me out, and they still found out. So I'm out. And I was like, are you rhyming? Did you just leave us with a poem? Is that what you just did? And he was like, I was trying to do a haiku, but I couldn't think that quick. And I was like, the fact that you even know what a haiku is, I'm going to give you an A, bro. You just got the first A, and he was like, you have got to be kidding me. Are you going to give me an A? I'm like, I can't not. You came all the time. You did the work when you were here. Sure, you participated almost just as much as everybody else. And you know what a haiku is. None of these kids know what a haiku is. And he did. He left the classroom, out the window, right then and there. And that's when I realized, if I could reach a kid like that, I could reach anybody. And I think that's where the hat.
Is that how the whole point? Is that how you got your red hat?
Mm-hmm. Because I have ever since. All I had to do was level with them, meet them where they're at, every single one of them. And it worked.
That's the lesson, right? Like knowing your people. So whether it's teacher to students or principal to staff, being able to make those connections, that's like foundational. ODP Business Solutions, formerly Office Depot Business Solutions Division, has been a trusted partner for schools for 30 years. At ODP Business Solutions, we're by your side to meet your evolving education needs. Let's talk about what keeps ruckus makers up at night. Creating engaging learning spaces while juggling budgets, safety protocols, and those endless supply lists. Here's the game changer. ODP Business Solutions helps you tackle it all. We're not just another vendor, we're your strategic partner in transformation. Want to turn a tired computer lab into a STEAM innovation center? We'll help design it. Need to keep 8 schools stocked and spotless? We've got sustainable solutions that scale. Looking to upgrade from whiteboards to interactive displays? We'll guide you through the entire process. And the best part, you can get it all from a single supplier. That helps you simplify ordering and streamline budgeting while staying compliant with easy access to cooperative contracts. However you want to advance, ODP Business Solutions has 30 years of experience helping districts like yours get ahead. Visit odpbusiness.com/education to learn more. That's odpbusiness.com/education. Let's talk results just for a second. Dan was burned out and on stress leave. Now he's leading a thriving school and mentoring others. Demetrius joined the Ruckus Maker Mastermind when he realized his district wasn't going to develop him. And he went from AP to national blue ribbon winning principal. And Kellen, she just landed her first dream principal job, thanks to the coaching, support, and community she found inside the Ruckus Maker Mastermind. It's not a course, it's an experience, it's a commitment. If you're ready for elite level leadership growth, weekly coaching and mentorship, and a proven flywheel to solve your biggest challenges, you can apply today at betterleadersbetterschools.com/apply. The mastermind application takes about 3 minutes to complete, We'll be in touch to set up a call to make sure the mastermind's a perfect fit PD opportunity for you. And you can apply again at betterleadersbetterschools.com/apply. Teachers love the support that IXL provides in the classroom, and ruckus makers love it all as well, because IXL also gives school leaders meaningful insights on every level. Put your finger on the pulse of student performance with IXL and its dashboard to drill down to see progress and growth for individual students. You can even customize reports to hone in on the information that matters most to you. IXL helps ruckus makers make data-informed decisions that will benefit their students' growth goals. Get started today at ixl.com/leaders. That's ixl.com/leaders. It's a good segue to actually a trend I wanted to discuss, which has to do with attendance, but not attendance of students, like our friend that snuck out the window, but attendance of teachers. It's actually it was trending in the teacher Reddit community, and the topic was if roles were reversed. And I won't read it to you. I mean, the gist is staff lecture students, you need to come to school, right? And this teacher's writing a group of teachers saying, is anybody else experiencing this? Like, tons of my colleagues don't come to work regularly these days. As teachers, not students. And so knowing our audience, ruckus makers that want to do school different, I don't know if they're experiencing this or not, but if they are, what advice do we have for them, or what questions, might we discuss? But basically, how can we offer some support if they're having trouble with faculty coming to school?
I mean, I just did an episode not long ago on a 5-part series on teacher burnout. And the 4th episode revolved around the growth mindset contradiction. And so it's basically, as teachers, we're trying to tell kids, how you have to do it, keep that open mind. You can do it. We give them that message. We teach them that language, and then we don't come to work. We don't exhibit that mentality ourselves about maybe if something new is introduced to us, or about how complicated our kids are. And in that thread, in Reddit, I had to stop with Reddit, especially r/teachers.
Yeah.
It's like a forum for exactly that. To voice your concern, but to complain about kids. Instead of complaining, I would think, what can you do about it? What are we doing about it? Are you asking for support? Are you talking to others? Are you collaborating at all? And oddly enough, Danny, a complaint is sort of a beginning of a collaboration. I'm not doing well is ultimately what a complaint could be construed as. So, I mean, it's an interesting topic. I can see why it's trending, especially this time of year, spring, the long haul,
Yeah.
getting into summer. Everybody's got their eyes on the summer. Tough.
And this will be releasing in September. So still, fall of a new school year. But I think, depending on the campus, they might see the same trend. Doesn't matter, right? If it's spring or fall or whatever, it's just an issue. I had some thoughts too, but Mitch, is there anything you want to add to, like, what could a campus leader do about teachers that aren't showing up?
Seems like there's no quick fix there. There's obviously lots of variables, but I think from kind of the teacher lens, it makes me curious if those individuals feel valued at work. And to me, it's more of a culture, like a climate and culture question. And when you get that culture right, like walking at your former school, Joe, like there's a culture there, you feel it.
Yeah.
And people want to be there. I was lucky enough to spend most of my career at Sequoia High School in the Bay Area of California. And it was the same thing. Like people, almost everybody really, really wanted to be there. So I think it's both those. I think it's culture, but it just makes me curious. Like, wow, you're just not going to work? Like something's going on there,
I mean, as a leader, are you asking your people why are they not coming in?
Why aren't you?
Is there a line of communication?
Because I care
open?
about you,
right.
though, not like
right.
Yeah.
It's not like, hey, man, come back. It's like, hey, what's happening? It's almost. I've been stuck on that OKR, Danny, since we studied it years ago. And I
Won't
feel
measure
like
what
that's
matters.
yeah, man, that's a recipe for success, especially in a scenario like this. When it gets real bad, it's clearly there's a disconnect between the staff and the needs of the kids and the needs of the administration. So OKRs attack that immediately, like right at the heart of it.
Unpack that real quick, Joe, for listeners.
So as a principal, if I'm a principal of a school and this is what I got going on, I might take a look at all of these teachers and figure out how to meet with them regularly. Most likely weekly is your best definition of regularly, and those meetings are based on key results that the teacher or staff member wants to take upon themselves to improve. Right. So a part of the school, something that's going on, whether it's in their classroom, outside of their classroom, what are they a part of? And then during that meeting, the principal is just asking the teacher, how can I support that process? It's not, this is where you are. Why aren't you here? That is rephrased as like, this is where you are. I think we're going to need more time. How do we get there? Do we need more resources? Do we need more of a team? Do we need to go in another direction? And just having that open line. Some kids or some teachers may have kids at home that are already out early or are going to schools that are on different schedules and can't attend, maybe staff meetings or need to leave right away or are barely on time every day. I mean, there's all kinds of things that people have going on. And without that open line, we never know what to do.
Well, it's the same way to approach it, like a teacher with students through a curiosity lens. Like, hey, what is going on, as opposed to, discipline or judgment. So,
What I found interesting, I know you guys didn't see necessarily the discussion in Reddit, but basically it sort of devolved into don't shame people for taking their paid time off, right? Which I agree with. You get
Yeah.
paid time off, take your days. That's not what the teacher was talking about though. The person who wrote the post was like, no, this is happening like frequently, and then because it's happening so frequently and to such an extent, we don't have enough subs, and so now teachers who are at the school have to cover.
they don't get their prep.
And so that's a problem. That's a challenge, and that's staff making it worse for their colleagues. So I think I land kind of where Mitchell is like talking about culture, right? And I mean, basically, if you have staff or students that aren't showing up consistently, there's something about your school culture that needs repairing and nurturing and maybe some unlearning and rethinking and reimagining, because there's people who aren't showing up, right? Why, like, and so empathy, like, why is that really happening? And the fact that it's adults, people who are getting paid to do the job, that indicates to me you have a serious culture issue that needs to be fixed. And what I suspect is that principle is a play it safe principle. And I expect they go along with all the system stuff from central office that sometimes misses the forest from the trees. Maybe the adults in the building are being squeezed a little bit too much, and they're already losing the planning time or the stuff being added to the plate without anything being taken off. So that would be the stuff that I would be exploring there. But yeah, I think that's a symptom of you've got some serious problems, right? Serious problems on campus.
Which is interesting, because if you get that culture piece right, which is such an interesting thing, right? Because there's an art to that. There's a vision to that, because every school is different.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get it right, people want to be there, and will do more.
Yeah.
Not that you're
Above
doing
and
it
beyond.
to leverage people, but you know what I mean? It's just like we're doing this thing. I mean, and if all of us have in different ways been a part of that experience, and you're like, the way I used to describe it is that, I feel like I'm getting paid to do this. Like, this is my job. This is just fun, not that every day is perfect or anything, but it was just kind of like, wow, this is cool on all levels, like in my class, with my staff, things outside of school, the community, we would go do stuff together. It can be really special. And you see those, we've all experienced from the outside looking, as like a consultant role or something. You go to a place and you can when the culture's not that, it's like, whoa. I always ask, like, how are people showing up here? Kids included every day. Like, this is not a place of joy necessarily. So
But here's where I wanna end today's show. Since this is September and let's just call it the beginning of the school year, it's a great time to think about setting yourself up for success. Mitch, you've known many of the mastermind members. You spoke at our conferences. Joe's
Mhm.
spoken at our conference. He's coached masterminds. He's been a mastermind member, right? So from your experiences with the mastermind, why is this a great opportunity for a listener to consider as they're thinking about really grounding themselves and supporting themselves for a successful school year?
Joe can speak to that because he's been a school leader.
You might be able to
But-
talk about, though, what do you notice about the members? Because you've been around
Yeah.
many of them,
Right. And that's what I was going to say is there's something different about, like I was talking with Corey in Chicago, right? You, Danny, you and I, you introduced us, and there's a sense of support. It doesn't, because I've worked with so many principals and school leaders over the years through organized binder work. And most school leaders are kind of going at it alone. It's a lonely job. I mean, you're at the top, you're the man in the ship. And so that's kind of part of it. Not that you can't have your admin team and whatnot with you, but I always get this sense of community and support in all of the mastermind members I've met. That's been an interesting kind of through line for everybody. And you can't do it alone. And sometimes you want to come to a place and air your dirty laundry about this is an issue, I need some help with it, right? And the people you're talking to aren't even in your state. Maybe it's that's kind of one thing for me. But I'll default to Joe on this one.
I mean, I feel like it was a live, in-person Reddit, right? With solutions,
That's the difference, though.
right? You
Between-
go to Reddit
between us and
to
Reddit.
complain, and I feel
Yeah,
like
anonymously, yeah.
every week I had such awesome complaints. And maybe complaint is a bad way to describe what leaders would bring to the table. But it was sometimes professional, sometimes it was personal, and certain people wouldn't leave anything out. And that collaboration had a level of solution, support, and care that it changed people. It did. You could almost see it in them, their responses afterwards, the connections that they would make, but also the growth, right? And that's what we were always about week after week. It was one of the cooler things about it was finding the books that weren't ones that you would read in school, but ones that promoted true aspects of leadership that made us continuously think outside of the box, hence the ruckus maker mentality. So it was refreshing and necessary for these guys on a number of levels weekly.
But those folks, and I'm not a principal, but I've met and consider a lot of Ruckus Maker Mastermind members friends. It's not for everybody though, because it is this commitment. You got to find the time, and there's no BS. And so some people, it's been interesting to watch, because I've known you, Danny, for so many years, how many people have stayed for years now, and how some don't. And it's kind of it's kind of like one or the other. I mean, sure, there could be funding or, issues around that, and someone has to take a break, but it's like pretty quick. You can tell who's seeing this and committing to it, because what Joe's describing only happens when people show up.
It's certainly easier to hide and to try to do it on your own. It doesn't make the job easier, but it requires no effort on the part of the leader to plug in and be real with colleagues. So yeah, I just want to put that out there. Oh, go ahead.
I'm going to ask one more question, because I think this might be enticing in some ways. I know it would be for me. There's also a side to it of like, come and share your wisdom.
Yeah.
You're not just here to get help and put out fires. Like, we actually need your wisdom and your experience, because it's different than anyone else's. So see it as like a collective, collective leader efficacy in some ways. That what if you've done something, experienced something, solved something, and it could be a one line to Joe Clausi who's going, and he goes, oh, and the light bulb goes on, and you're like,
Yeah.
that's cool, you know?
Mhm.
So if you're kicking butt, you need to get in and support the community.
Right on. Cool.
That's what I say.
Yeah, well, check it out. betterleadersbetterschools.com/mastermind. Joe, how was it for you joining Mitch and I, Adorable Red Hats?
This is awesome, you guys. I miss you both. We don't get to do
I haven't
anything
talked
like
in a
this
while.
ever. So
You
thank you.
picked out a good shirt for the thing. Danny did not. He also has one. He usually is staying hydrated.
I put
though.
on too much muscle. I outgrew mine.
Oh yeah, he's all
Mhm.
buff now. That's right.
Right on, Danny. Right
Yeah,
on.
We'll have to
it's
send
like
you-
it
I'll
doesn't
send-
fit any. I need a new shirt. Send me a large.
Triple extra large.
No, just a large.
Fit those biceps in that bad boy.
Go over there. Yes. Right on. Yeah, this was awesome, you guys. Thank you. And for the record, I only GPT'd the call to action of the email because you guys know I suck at that. I have no idea still how to do a call to action. So the writing is
Right
easy,
on.
but when I get there,
The
I'm like,
rest of it was you. Wow, it's very
Yeah.
eloquent. I was gonna think
I
we
liked
should
it.
put that at
I could tell it was Joe's
adorableredhats.com on the contact us page and
Oh,
say you
like-
have
like
to
a
beat
model?
this email. It has to be more eloquent than this. But maybe not. That might. And you can't use AI. You have to do it yourself.
or maybe
Except for
just
the
for the
call
call
to
to
action
action.
part.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, you
I'm-
guys. I appreciate it.
Danny doesn't.
Yeah, you can use AI. You have a 50% chance. I don't mind at all if you use AI to get on this show, but you have to come with some
I'm gonna
real
put it through my
opinions.
AI scanner. And,
Yeah. Some good
if it gets
stories.
red flagged, then it's not red hat worthy.
Stories. What was it? Stories, scars, and there was strategy, right? So
Yeah.
if you have stories, scars, or strategy to come,
And you kind of did
Talk.
all three, I gotta say.
yeah,
CTE's a strategy, some teaching strategies.
Joe set a high bar. So
Yars.
thanks for joining us, Joe.
You got it, you guys. Thanks for having me.
And if you're still listening, write us hello@adorableredhats.com and maybe you could be a guest as well.
See you next time.
Fun.
Happy September.
Hey, Ruckus Maker, thanks again for pressing play. I hope you enjoyed today's episode as much as I enjoyed creating it for you. And before you go, if today's show shifted something in your mind or sparked an idea about how you could do school different, then I think you'd be a great fit for what we call the Ruckus Maker Mastermind. The Mastermind's a private community of innovative school leaders who meet weekly to grow, reflect, and disrupt the status quo. You can create the campus experience your staff and students deserve. Applications are now open, and go to betterleadersbetterschools.com/apply to put your application in.